think what we're talking about here today is not news to anyone. I think a lot of us have heard about this concept because we're talking about happiness. Happiness and well-being are a path to being successful. I don't think anyone disagrees with that concept. I don't think a single person says, I don't buy it. And that's almost a problem when we've heard something so many times, it starts to become white noise to us, right? There is a lot of cliches in society. And a cliche makes us kind of roll our eyes and say, oh, that's cute. We've heard that before. That is so overused. So we're not going to take it seriously. I do not like cliches. But I don't like cliches for a different reason than most. I can't stand cliches because it makes us fail to see the magic in the statement. We discredit cliches, we don't listen to cliches, and thus we miss out on the magic that cliches are often trying to convey. Too many times in my life of coaching realtors, and humans for that matter, there's an interesting phenomenon. There's this strange phenomenon where we all nod and we say, yeah, I've heard that before. So we inevitably check it off as if it's done. I've heard about that before. Moving on. What else you got? What's the next shiny object? What's the next thing I haven't heard before? What a ridiculous logic. What if what we were really talking about was push-ups? I've been hot on this analogy lately. What if we were talking about push-ups and someone said, yep, heard of push-ups before. You know, I could even explain a push-up to you. I could describe a push-up to you. So check that off. I'm done with it. Is there any flaws in that logic? Is there any flaws or holes in that approach? Do you get healthier? Do you get more fit, more ripped simply by knowing what a push-up is and maybe being able to describe what a push-up is? No, you do not. We are plagued, especially in the real estate industry, with people who say, yeah, I know about this. Yep, I've heard of this. Yeah, I know what it is. Doesn't make you better by simply knowing what it is. It's about getting down and doing the push-ups. If we want to get better, if we want to succeed, we can't simply know the concept by definition. We have to get down to it and do it. So, you've all probably heard about happiness and well-being. And some people didn't even show up to listen to this live because they probably saw the title and they said, yeah, I've heard of this before. Problem is so few people are actually doing the work. So if nothing else, I hope you hear this as a wake-up call. Doesn't matter if you've heard of concepts, it's time to do something with the concepts. If you take nothing else away from this webinar, it's that you actually got to do the work for it to go anywhere for you. And let's make sure we do the work well. Because someone gets down and does 2 push-ups and gives up and says push-ups don't work, what do you say to that? That's ridiculous. Someone said, yeah, I get push-ups. I know what push-ups are. Hey, I got down and I did 2 of them, and hey, it didn't get me healthier. Didn't make me buff. So clearly push-ups don't work. I'm going to give up on push-ups and go look for the next thing, which is probably why I like Bowflexes and all these different workout crazes really kick in, is because people just aren't doing basic workouts regularly. Thus they try them and they're not doing them regularly, and they give up on them because they're not doing them regularly, and they look for the next thing that they think will magically solve their problems for them. Well, regardless of what you subscribe to, the fact is you won't get the results unless you do it with consistency. So getting down and doing just 2 push-ups, not good enough. You can say you've done it, but it's all about consistency. That is the brutal reality. The magical and brutal truth of human nature is we got to do our reps. And today I want to cover a workout of sorts with all of you listening. I want to cover a happiness and well-being workout to keep this working out analogy alive. And boy, I better get to the gym after this, because holy cow, I'm using it a lot. I better get down and do push-ups after this webinar is done, if nothing else. to keep this workout analogy alive, it can be so healthy to show up to the gym of life with a plan, to know what exercises you will be doing ahead of time can help you have a much more productive time in the gym of life. Just showing up and looking around and trying to figure it out as you go is doing yourself a disservice. It is selling yourself short. It is not teeing you up to succeed. So I'm going to give you a workout plan with the idea of happiness and well-being in mind. Let's dive in. Let's get rolling here. I'm excited. I'm jazzed. Now, I'm not going to cover every single exercise you can do for happiness and well-being. Here's a few that I believe in. And I hope you take at least a fraction of these and start applying it, because that'll make you healthier and happier than you were yesterday when you weren't doing them. Why does happiness matter? Again, I think we all agree this is important. I don't think anyone disagrees with it, but let's still dive into some context, some substance. Constantly, time and time again, studies have been done where we scan the human brain. We scan the human brain and we test the brain when the person getting scanned is in a negative, neutral, or optimistic mindset. These brain scans have confirmed time and time again that our brain is firing all those little synapses, all those little bits of brain activity we can track is firing exponentially more when we are in an optimistic mindset versus a neutral or negative mindset. Our brain is functioning more effectively. Critical thinking is firing 10x more than when we were at neutral or negative mindsets. Well, what does that mean? Well, a neutral or negative mindset lets us see the tree in front of us. An optimistic mindset lets us see the scope of the entire forest. We see more, we can act on more, we can do more if we have a default setting that is optimistic. There is a physiological advantage when we are an optimist. And unfortunately, too many people, the average person in the working world has this basic formula that they operate with on a day-to-day. I will be happy when I insert benchmark, milestone, goal, achievement. I will be happy only after I have hit this thing. My main man, one of my mentors as far as people I study and read, Sean Akor, he's a positive psychologist at Harvard University. I don't know if you've heard of it. I've talked about him before, and I'll probably talk about him again. He is dissatisfied with that formula. It is not the way things have to be. You do not have to say, I will be happy when I. Happiness, aka optimism, can be a default setting. The mindset for us should not be, I will be happy when I. We need to rewire our thinking. So we say, I am happy, therefore I shall. Being happy is an advantage. It is a competitive advantage. And we can reset our default to not be neutral or negative. We can start off by being positive, by being happy. And in doing so, we will be a better performing individual to get us to the goals we want for ourselves. We cannot find satisfaction and happiness in the goals we're pursuing. We must be happy as a default to achieve the goals we want for ourselves. And biology, science has confirmed this is not some fluff I'm sharing with you, gang. It is a confirmed tactical advantage. We've seen the brain when we have an optimistic approach, a happy approach. Oh, I hope I can convince you of this. I know you would agree with me. Yeah, happiness is a good thing, but hopefully this is giving you some meat to chew on, to say this is actually something I shouldn't just say, yeah, I've heard of, I'm familiar with. I should do something about it. So what the heck do you do about it? Well, there's some obvious ones. We got to eat better. We got to get more sleep. We got to hydrate. You've all heard that before. We got to exercise more. You've heard that. And it's true. Here's what I know is some of those things can be so insurmountable that you never try and begin in the first place. Here's what I would tell you. When you think of some of those basics that I'm guessing most of you can think of, to hydrate, to work out, to eat better, you are setting too high of an expectation for yourself. What you are telling yourself you must do is way too lofty. You're creating too big of a mountain. It looks so intimidating. You quit before you even get going. So I would invite you to write down how much water you need to drink in a day. How often would you like to exercise? How do you need to change your diet? What do you need to cut out? And if you're writing down that I need to stop eating out so much, I can only allow myself to eat out 3 times a week instead of 8 times a week. Yeah, 8 days a week. I'm only letting myself do it 3 times a week. That might be too much for you. Maybe you just need to reduce your eating out by 1 day. Get it down to 7, maybe 6 days a week. If you want to drink your body weight in water now, maybe just cut that in half so you get started. If you have a goal, the first mindset for it to be achievable is to cut the goal in half. Cut that mountain in half so you believe it can actually be summited. We can't have big, lofty goals that look impressive but are never going to be sustainable. We've got to cut it in half so we know we can achieve it, so that realistic expectations get us there, so we realize it can be done. So no matter what you define for yourself, cut that in half if you're just getting started on some of those happiness and well-being tactics I'm sure we've all heard of. If you want to go to bed at 8 o'clock now, but you've been going to bed at 11 o'clock, okay, maybe just try to go to bed at 10:30. Start with that. Scale that mountain and know you can do it, and then keep going. Get it then to 10 o'clock at night. Incremental progress, not some big lofty sucker. Okay, general rule of thumb there for you all. Let's get to this workout regimen. Every day you should do a gratitude list. A gratitude list is right there with some of the things you've already heard about, right? It's right there with hydrating, getting better sleep, waking up early. You need to do a gratitude list, like you need to get down and do push-ups to get stronger, to get healthier. You have to make it a point that you put it in your calendar. You schedule reminders on a daily basis, beginning and end of day, and heck, dare I say, during the lunch hour, to reflect on what you are thankful for in life and get specific. Get specific down to the day, the last 24 hours. You need to reflect on what you are grateful for, what is good, what is happening in life. And it can be as specific as you need. You should make it a point to write down at least 5 gratitudes a day. 3 reminders to hopefully get you to turn your attention to that list that you need to document at least 5 gratitudes. You have got to look for the good in your day and document it daily. Closely related to a gratitude list, which a lot of us have heard of, we need to do a praise list. Right? So we've got like this gratitude list, which is like getting our triceps a workout. And now we got to get our biceps a workout. We got to get a different muscle involved to be more optimistic and happy. And praise is different than gratitude. Gratitude can be all sorts of things. We give praise to individuals. So who in your life, who that you work with, who that you know deserves some praise from you? Give them praise. And you need to document at least 5 different praise pieces you can give out to others. You need to identify what someone specifically did recently, and you need to write down that Joe went out of his way to text you a message of gratitude, and that is really impressive. That Mike is so good about regularly reaching out about getting lunch. That the one realtor on your team, that Mary is the only one who consistently shows up to get her reps in for lead gen. Look around for the people who deserve praise, document that, take out your phone and text it to them right there as soon as you document it. List it and send it out into the world. Because it's not just enough to think it, it is a whole different animal to act upon it. And finally, identity statements. Who do you need to be? Who do you want to be that is favorable, that is positive? How do you see yourself right now? Is it a positive light or is it a negative light? The way we talk to ourselves is so important. It matters. You need to write down at least 3 and no more than 6 positive identity statements about yourself. You need to write those down, and then you need to repeat those to yourself daily. To tell yourself who you are, what you're great at, is a necessity. Now we're working on our pectorals when we do that exercise. Okay, we got a different exercise for our triceps, biceps, pecs are getting it now. 3 different yet similar sounding exercises that we need to do. The gratitude list, the praise list, and a positive identity statement list that we repeat about ourselves. It can't be disingenuous. It's something you really feel about yourself that you have to repeat back to yourself about who you are that's great. And I can't say it enough. A lot of you have probably heard about these exercises in one way or another. You've heard about a push-up. You need to actually start doing push-ups, gang. Because actually going through the motions is what makes you strong. Actually following through on the gratitude list, the praise list, and the positive identity statements, it rewires your brain and what your brain looks for. Because the brutal reality is that our minds are wired to look for negatives. We get it from our ancestors who lived out in the wild, gathered around fires. They were pretty vulnerable. They had to train themselves to survive. They had to scan the horizon for danger, for threats in the tree line. We have a default setting to be a more negative, to look for what's wrong. These workouts train our minds to look for what's good, what's right in our daily life. And when we do this with repetition, our minds start rewiring. We start as a default looking for the positives if we get our reps in. When you do the gratitude list, you start automatically looking for what you're thankful for on a regular basis. When you do the praise list, you start looking for the good that people do. And when you do those identity statements that are positive, you start seeing yourself in a better light. You start acting in the way you tell yourself you are. Only with repetition. You need to scorecard these things. You got to come up with them. And then you need to score whether you did them or not. Simple checklist. Monday through Friday, did you or didn't you before the day is done? Get through your gratitudes, your praise, and your identity statements that have you in a positive light. Did you get down to do your push-ups or not? It is that black and white. And you will get stronger if you do push-ups more often than not. And you will get more positive and optimistic if you do these 3 exercises more often than not. The beauty is in doing the reps. So please make it a time in your calendar. Do that reminder multiple times. Again, 3 times in your calendar to remind yourself to give these lists some attention and do them. This is a whole nother activity in and of itself that has some overlap with what I just covered with you, but I think this is something way different. This is more holistic to you finding happiness over the course of your life. This is an achievements list. This is a proudest moments list that I need you to develop for yourself. I need you to go back 20 years. Look back on the last 20 years of your life, and you need to document moments you are proud of. However big, however small, however trivial, however life-changing, you need to now write out in a journal, write out your proudest moments of the last 20 years. Now, what other rules are there, you might ask? None. We don't have a referee for this exercise. We do not have a bouncer who tells you what does and does not qualify to get in. There is not a rule book with criteria of what is defined as a moment that was great in your life. If it comes to your mind, document it. Stretch, and anything that comes to your mind that was a great moment in the last 20 years for you, write it down, journal it. I would hope that you come up with at least 30 items. If you really do this, you'll probably come up with over 100. When you think the big, the small, all sorts of activities, moments, I should say. And there's the obvious ones, like the day I got married, the day my children were born. Those are some obvious ones you're going to write down, but then you're going to get into the nitty gritty. Like the day me and my friends went and spent 4 hours at that arcade bar for the first time. Wow, that was so random and specific, but that was a highlight. That was a good moment for me. That's going on the list. Anytime I show up to tailgating, oh, that's a good feeling. Anytime I see a corn maze, I get this little excitement. The first time I went to a corn maze was great. That's a great moment for me. I need you to document every single one of those things. Be it simple enjoyments, be it things you share because of the relationship, be it achievements, be it the experience, be it objects you get joy from. What are all these great moments of the last 20 years? I need you to write all of them down. I wish I could stop the webinar and say, do it for the next 10 minutes, but we got to keep going. You see, a lot of us try to keep ourselves motivated by vision casting what the future holds. And there's a problem with that. It can be really hard to plan out our future. I don't know about you, but I have tried to do that. And 6 months later, I'm in a different headspace, a different place. And so much about what I thought I wanted to do has changed, is no longer a priority. There's just a lot of change when we try to think about our future. It's hard. The fact is that thinking about our future, planning our future is speculative, but looking back on our past is mining data. And if we want to create a happy future, we've got to acknowledge the happiness of our past. And that's what I'm telling you to do with this list. I need you to create this list so you have a bunch of data about what has made you happy before. That is a treasure trove of information, and doing this exercise in of itself is going to make you feel good. Revisiting past positive experiences makes you happier. It's right there in line with expressing gratitude and praise and identifying the positive identity of who you are. It rewires the way you think. And spending time on this list, you're going to feel it. If you actually do it, you'll feel better. You'll feel more positive. And that past data is something we need to lean on to propel ourselves forward when we decide who we want to keep being. Because once you have that list done, you need to review it. You need to find some ahas about who you are. You could even codify each one of those individual items. Was it an experience? Right? Was it an achievement? Was it a relationship? Was it an object? 4 different ways that you will darn near be able to codify every single happy moment in your life in the last 20 years. There could be something insightful about that. Man, so much of what I have is heavy on that E, that experience. So many of my achievements, my happy moments have not been achievements. They haven't been objects. Relationships was second place, but experiences was a lion's share of my big happy moments of the last 20 years. That's telling me something about what makes me feel good, what I like. And I need to lean into that to dictate who I want to keep being. Who do I want to become? Well, clearly I'm driven by experiences. And that is something I need to be mindful of going forward as I try to seek a happy life. That raw material is crucial for you to work with to reset your default setting to be more optimistic, to be happier. Go through that list, revisit it, add to it. It's not due at the end of the class. Add to it over the course of weeks. Categorize it and have more ahas about the type of happy moments that make up your idea of a satisfactory life. Now, if we're going to do that, we have to then make our reality a little more catered to what we traditionally seem to enjoy and derive happiness from. If Connor is heavy on experiences, because that was the lion's share of what my favorable moments were, my happy moments, well, I should surround myself with people who can make that more of a reality, because no one succeeds single-handedly. Happiness is shared. Those who are happy are those who have a great network of people surrounding them. If you want to be happy, you need a bright constellation, a network of people that you surround yourself with for the right reasons. Here is the fact, gang. Don't surround yourself with people who bring out the stress in you. Surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. So who brings out the best in you? Who brings out the stress in you? That's a line of demarcation. We need to focus on those who bring out the best in you and let go of those who bring out the stress in you. Those who bring out the best in you are probably people who will help you relive those past moments. They will be there to help you get more of those types of moments that make you happy. They will make you live that more regularly, because again, it's not when I do this, I will be happy. It's by being this. By being happy, I become this, right? People who you surround yourself with should bring out the best in you. That list will help you see what you look like at your best. And I'm at my best with those experiences. So who's interested in experiences and who is not? That's something I find myself asking myself. That has helped me focus on knowing who brings out the best in me and who brings out the stress in me. No time for people who stress you out. We need to empower our minds. We need to get more cognitive with how we behave. We will be happier if we have cognitive diversity in our lives. You need different types of desired relationships. You need pillars, bridges, and extenders. I've talked about this, and I will talk about it again. To have a happier life is to be part of a bright constellation. It's people who bring out the best in you, and these people who bring out the best in you should either be pillars, bridges, or extenders. I'm talking 5 to 6 pillars in your life, 5 to 6 bridges in your life, 5 to 6 extenders in your life. Pillars are people who are always going to be there for you, who have your back no matter what happens, especially when there's adversity. When the you-know-what hits the fan, they're always going to be there for you. You need to identify who your pillars are, and you need to make being around them a regular occurrence, probably more than you have been giving it currently. Having a pillar consistently a part of your weekly life is a must. To meet with them for coffee, to go for lunch, to do some sort of common interest with them on a consistent basis is a formula for happiness. Bridges are people that you know who have access to a whole different world that you would not otherwise be able to plug into. They are part of a different community, a different group, and through them, you get to know other people, experience different things, if that's what makes you happy. Bridges are people who connect you to a whole different network, world, community. And that variety is so valuable. Variety is the spice of life. Who are your bridges in life? And are you connecting with them regularly? Are you engaging with them regularly? Are you, through them, getting involved with a whole different community? That is good well-being for social creatures like ourselves. That is a path to happiness. And then lastly, who are your extenders? These are people who challenge you for the better. They're wired differently than you. Maybe they're farther along than you are. They are extenders in that they push you out of your comfort zone. They push you out of your bubble. They make you something that you currently are not but want to be. They make you something better that you currently are, but there's room for improvement. This is where you can maybe say that they're mentors in one way or another. Extenders make you become who you'd like to be for better, or to just become what you are not for the better. And it is a satisfying life to be constantly growing and evolving and changing, because that's life. Life is nothing but. People who are stuck in the past with the way they've done things, with the same static relationships, that is a path for neutral or negative mindsets. but extenders push you to evolve and grow. And I'm not making you become something you have no interest in. I'm encouraging you to realize there's things you like that you've not been able to pursue because maybe it's intimidating, it's not currently within your wheelhouse. Well, the solution is to have those extenders documented. And again, like pillars and bridges, you're meeting with them regularly. They are a part of your life consistently. What is the state of your pillars, bridges, and extenders? Can you say you have 5 to 6 of those locked down that you are regularly making a part of your life? Those people are bright stars that can help you be happier, help you be more resilient. And now you're part of a constellation that is more resilient and happier because you're surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. People are going to bring out the best in you by supporting you, by connecting you, by helping you grow. That is crucial maintenance to have a better default setting of happiness. Now, how do you make sure those bonds are strong? Well, it can't be a one-way street. The strongest bonds, words are hard sometimes, the strongest bonds are reciprocal bonds, not one-way streets. Mutual investments are a must with these people. Make it a two-way street. Try to offer something to them that you are going to reciprocate. They're giving you some sort of value, offer it back. Don't just be a taker. If all you do is take, you are not living an optimistic mindset. Reciprocal bonds will last. So make sure it is reciprocal for these pillars, bridges, and extenders. That's how they will bring out the best in you. Should not be a stressful thing for you. Now, as far as this current market that we're living in, everyone, this current market, it's brutal. It sucks. And there is a movement that is pretty obvious that we have to get back to basics. If you want to succeed as a realtor, you got to get back to basics. And for some of us, that sucks. Do you know that you might have to get back on the phone, that you might have to door knock? You're going to have to do those foundational lead gen bits that you maybe didn't have to do in the last few years. You're going to have to go back to those basics. And those basics probably aren't enjoyable. You logically know that you have to do them, but logic is not enough. Emotion drives behavior. Logic is just what makes us think. It's emotion that makes us act. Logically, a lot of us know we have to get back to basics, but man, that is not enough. We have to attack those things with a default positive approach. And we are more positive if it's fun. And if it's fun, it will not get done. You have to inject fun into any activity you know you have to do that sucks. So ask yourself the question, how could I do this and enjoy it? That's inviting tactical optimism. It's not saying, nah, I'm negative, so it won't get done. And it's not being blindly optimistic to say, yeah, I'll figure it out. It's going to be great. Door knocking is not fun for darn near most of us. The question to ask ourselves is, I can figure this out. How can I make door knocking fun for me? What's the way I can inject fun into the activity? And now here's where we're all wired differently. You need to identify what's fun for you. You just got to identify and rise to that challenge to say, I can make anything fun. What will make it fun for me? For some of you, you're competitive, so you make it a challenge with a buddy to go door knock because there's stakes on the line. Some of you say, I'm going to make it podcast time. I'm going to put my earbuds in. I'm going to go door knock with my earbuds in. And when someone answers the door finally, you say, oh my gosh, hey, you know, I've been door knocking. A lot of people aren't home. Forgive me, I put my earbuds in. How's your day been? My name's Connor. It's easy enough to just pull the earbuds out. Because I know some people say, oh, that'd be awkward if, you know, I'm listening to music when they open the door. No, easy pivot. How can you inject fun into any of the activities you know you need to do? Because if it's not fun, it won't get done. Now you can find out those fun activities begins with having that optimistic mindset. And that optimistic mindset is a default when we have a network of people we're surrounding ourselves with. The pillars, the bridges, the extenders, who do not stress us out, but bring out the best in us. People that we have a mutual relationship with will make us more optimistic. When we regularly reflect on our achievements in the past, when we reflect on our happy moments and know what those typically have been for us, we can use that network to make them regularly occur in our lives to be happier. And when we regularly think more positively with our gratitude lists, with our praise lists, with our identity statements, that again will help us think more favorably, more positively, and thus we will perform more effectively. That's your workouts, everyone. Those lists, those achievement lists to revisit. Giving regular time to the crucial relationships in your life and identifying the things you need to inject into the tasks that you know you should be doing but are not fun. Happiness and well-being is crucial to perform more effectively. Here are some tactics for you to adopt. Again, it's making the time in your calendar to actually follow through on them, to do them on a consistent basis. You can rewire the way you think, and that optimistic default will help you achieve the goals, not the other way around. That's what I have for you all today. I don't know if anyone has any questions, if anyone wants anything that they want to throw out. I will pause for that opportunity for any questions on implementation, clarifiers. Pause begins now. Seeing nothing starting to roll in. Can't say it enough. We've all heard this stuff before, but it's time to show up and start doing the exercises. And just like the day you show up to the gym, you need to remember that it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel awkward when you start doing this. The first push-up is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel very good. But the more you do it, the more you realize, oh, there's some ahas here. I can tweak this. I can get better at it. I will perform more effectively through repetition. My form will get better. My tolerance, my ability to do more will grow by doing it. I have a question. What were the 4 types of happy moments? Excellent, excellent. So it is a moment of experience. So it could be an experience. When you look back on it, oh, that was an experience. It could be an achievement. You actually achieved something through hard work and effort. You won something. I'd say that makes it an achievement versus an experience, which is just like, hey, you experienced something. It doesn't mean you had to work hard for it. It could be that, yeah, you went to Europe, and that experience is one of your highlight happy moments. Now, it could change when you said, hey, it's not that I just went to Europe and experienced. I actually saved and saved and saved and budgeted, and I achieved going to Europe. Okay, then that would get an A assigned next to it, right? That's the difference between an experience and an achievement. Also, the fact that it's a relationship type of moment, right? It's simply that you shared something with someone, that it was about someone. Look, it's relationship when one of my happy moments is every time I make my kids laugh. Yeah, that's a big R next to that one. That's all relationship. That's not about achievement. That's not about experience. It's the relationship. Heck, one of mine is every time I get to see one of my best friends, Cole. That's a happy moment I wrote down. Anytime I get to see insert name, that's a happy moment. Well, yeah, that's all relationship. And then lastly, an object. What are just those things, those tangible things that give you happiness? You know, for me, it's getting a brand new book. It's just that brand new object that I'm getting to read is an object I greatly enjoy. Puzzle boxes, I derive a lot of happiness from like the puzzle boxes where you have to figure out the mechanism to get it to open. Again, these happy moments aren't big, broad brushstrokes. Get down to the nitty-gritty little things that give you joy. And some things might be objects. Your car that you love so much, you love driving around, that's an object that brings you great joy. Those are the 4 types: experience, achievement, relationship, object. EAR-O, EAR-O, not the greatest, whatever I'm trying to say here, the greatest abbreviation. I'm drawing a blank on the word here, but EARO. Any of your happy moments can be codified by one of those 4 things. It's going to be one of those 4 things. So some people are very much so driving happiness from objects. Others are all relationships. Some are experiences. Some people are shocked to discover, even though they didn't think they thought this way, that a lot of them were achievements. And now they have this aha that, wow, achievements. are really the definition of what makes me happy. That's worth being aware of. To find the right allies who will help me achieve versus the allies, those pillars, bridges, and extenders who will help me have experiences. Again, that's why that codification matters. And thanks for asking again, what are the 4 types of happy moments? Any other questions or thoughts, gang? Such a tricky activity because it doesn't directly get you more closed deals, but it's about giving the engine the proper maintenance so it performs more effectively. And that engine is your own well-being, and that engine should be humming at an optimum level by being happy as a default. And hopefully some of these exercises will help you get there with time and repetition. Thank you all who have tuned in here. Thank you for those who will watch it later. Get to work and prioritize your well-being. Have a good rest of the week.